Hi, good morning. This is Eddie Rosenthal from HigherSourceSites.com, and I want to briefly talk about uh, data synchronization using a tool that I use almost every day. It's SQL YOG. It's made by the nice people over at webyog.com, and they have a nice blog, a nice community there, and they have pretty nice support because whenever I've had an issue, which are far and few between, I've always gotten pretty good results. So let's just go take a look at one of my favorite tools, SQL YOG. When you first install it and you're creating connections to your SQL database, MySQL database, sometimes you're going to want to access remote databases and be able to back them up. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about using one of their tools, data synchronization. It's a power tool that comes with uh, the best version of any interface that I've ever seen to a MySQL database, SQL YOG Ultimate. Um, Here I'm showing you the remote connection that I've created. Uh, when you first create a database on a remote machine, you're going to note down the host address and, of course, the access to the database. Um, but also for some of the servers that you're using on remote sites, you're not going to be able to access those databases without some of the tools that are provided here in SQL YOG. One of them is a file, SQL YOG tunnel.php, which allows you to do tunneling from your desktop to the remote server. And this file gives you access to those any number of MySQL databases and tables, and allows you to sync and access them as if you were on your remote machine, and you can access them locally from this interface. So one of the things you're going to want to notice is when you get SQL YOG installed on your local desktop, if you've already got a previous version installed and you've got SQL YOG Tunnel on a remote machine, you're going to want to replace it to make sure you have the latest version. Okay, so with that caveat in mind, we'll close that down. And in this case, the full connection, you can see here that I'm using HTTP tunneling. I've checked that checkbox, and I've given a complete URL using HTTP all the way to the complete URL for where that file is located. I've given it the host address, which you normally find when you're installing that remote database in the setup from one of many interfaces, either probably cPanel or PHP on your remote machine. So we can test the connection, or we can just connect. So here I've connected. We're actually now connected to the remote database. So let's take a look at some of those columns in the visitors table. Okay, so we're accessing the remote database right now. So let's do a select name and email from visitors. So remember we're accessing. Okay, so there we are. We're on the remote machine. We've got the name and the email from this address over here. So let's close this connection for now. I'm not going to save that. And we're going to open up, well, let's show you what our local database structure looks like, which is a connection I call root to local database. And we'll just make a connection here. So here's all the local databases that I have on my desktop. And I'm going to create a local database to sync with that remote database we just looked at. So here we're going to create a database. We're going to call it local visitors. I'm going to create that database right now. And it doesn't have any tables in it. Okay, so we're going to open up the Data Sync Wizard from Power Tools. We're going to start a new job. Now we're going to copy this connection that we just showed you before to that remote database, which has in it the host address, the username and password. We're going to select the database that's on the remote machine. And again, to review, we have that HTTP tunneling checked and the complete path to that tunnel file. Okay. Now we're going to select a local route to local data connection, and we're going to copy it, the sync over to the visitors table that we just created. Okay, so it's checking all the connections, and we're going to do a one-way sync. And I recommend that you read this paragraph if ever you have a target database that has rows in it, but we don't, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Now, if we had multiple tables in this database, we could select which tables we want, but we only have one, so we're just going to select that one. And I want you to notice that there's a way you can filter out the sync. You can choose any SQL statement and put it in here. We're going to click Next. We're going to do a direct sync. Now, if we wanted to do multiple evening database backups, we could generate the script and run it in a batch from our desktop OS. But we're just going to do it direct for now, just a one-off. So we're going to click Next. And again, if we wanted to do a batch process, we could set up email notifications for ourselves here. But we're not going to do that right now, so we're just going to click Next. We're going to run immediately, so we'll click Next. Now it's connecting to the server, and it's connecting to the local server. It says it connected successfully, and it's syncing, and table information and structures is being obtained and written to the local desktop. And before I can even say voila, it's done. Okay, so we'll click Next, Finish. And now we're back at our local desktop. So what we're going to do is let's select name, email from visitors. And we've replicated, well, we've synced the data from our remote database to our local database, which is exactly what we wanted to do. And like I said, this is one of the greatest tools for accessing your local and remote MySQL databases. So that's all I have to say about that, and this is Eddie Rosenthal from HigherSourceSites.com. Enjoy. This is a great product.